Don't you dare accuse him!
Step back.
She hit him!
Phone's down. We all saw it.
He threatened my family!
I asked one question. This dinner is over!
Throw him out!
You heard her. I heard everything.
You came here to embarrass us.
I came with records. You came with accusations. Then let the records clear you.
Why is he so calm?
Give me the envelope with a receipt.
It belongs to us!
Then say what is inside. You don't know what you're holding. That answer is enough. Why do you want it? Why is his handshake? The copy is already running.
Say something!
I already think one phone call changes this?
You seem to. Dad, why are you worried?
I'm not worried.
Then why stop the call?
That is enough! Put the phones down!
That isn't the law. Save the video. He is lying!
The footage is copied. Who moved my land hearing?
Who is that?
In the call. Too late. You don't understand what you're starting.
I understand 12 years of missing records. What records?
Hang up! The harvest started early.
The room went silent the instant the police chief's daughter struck the black farmer across the face. He did not raise his voice. He only straightened his worn green jacket, looked past her toward the chief, and asked, "Do you still want me to make the call?" Why did the chief suddenly lose his smile? Why were two county officials staring at the sealed envelope beside the farmer's plate? And what could a man everyone dismissed as just a farmer possibly know about 12 years of missing land records? One calm phone call was about to turn a private dinner into a public reckoning. Stay until the end, because the secret inside that envelope could destroy far more than one career. "Put the phones down," Chief Raymond Vale said. No one moved. Elijah Brooks bent, retrieved the sealed envelope from beneath the tablecloth, and brushed salt from its corner. His cheek still burned, but his voice stayed level. "Rose, does this room record continuously?" Rose Delaney stood by the service arch, gripping a linen napkin. "The cameras cover the room and both exits. Save the last 20 minutes. Raymond's chair scraped the floor. "You don't give orders here." "It's my restaurant," Rose said. She crossed to the wall panel and turned a brass key. A red light blinked above the screen. Charlotte pressed 2 fingers to her palm. "He threatened my father." "I asked him a question," Elijah said. "You accused him in front of everyone." "I named a trust." A fork slipped from a guest's hand and struck porcelain. The bright note crossed the room, then vanished beneath the ventilation hum. Raymond stepped between Elijah and Rose. "This event is over. Anyone recording may be violating county law." A gray-haired attorney near the window lowered her phone only halfway. "That is not the law." "I'm asking for cooperation." "No. You're asking for silence." 2 guests turned their screens down. 3 kept filming. Elijah saw Raymond's hand tighten around a chair. His gold ring clicked twice against the wood. Charlotte moved closer. "Dad, make him leave." Raymond did not look at her. His eyes stayed on the envelope. "What is in there?" "You know what should be." "That isn't an answer." "It is the last one I'll give privately." The smell of roasted onions and spilled wine hung in the warm room. Elijah took out his phone. Raymond raised a hand. "Don't." Elijah met his eyes. "Do you still want me to make the call?" The chief's face lost its color. Rose touched the security console. "The file is copying." "Stop it," Raymond snapped. "On whose authority?" "Police authority." "There has been no complaint." Charlotte swallowed. "I am making one now." Elijah held the locked phone. "For assault?" The word changed the room. Charlotte stepped back. Chairs shifted. Milton Reed stared at the carpet and collected untouched glasses, though his hands shook enough to rattle the ice. Raymond lowered his voice. "Mr. Brooks, walk out now, and this can remain a misunderstanding. My daughter's land hearing is at 8 tomorrow. That has nothing to do with tonight. You moved it forward by 2 days." Raymond's jaw hardened. Rose looked between them. How would the chief know about a private land hearing? "He wouldn't," Elijah said, "unless someone gave him the file." The red light stopped blinking, and stayed solid. "Copy complete," Rose said. Raymond pulled out his phone and turned away. "Send a unit to Delaney House," quietly. Several guests heard him. Elijah unlocked his screen. A photograph of his late wife beside the old seed barn appeared before the call menu. His thumb rested over a contact saved as D. Mercer. Charlotte saw the name. "Who is that?" Elijah pressed call. The line rang once. A woman answered, clear and awake. "Brooks?" Elijah watched Raymond's hand begin to tremble. "Dana," he said, "the harvest has started early." 36 hours earlier, at 6:42 a.m., Elijah found the first orange stake beside the east field. Rain had soaked the clay overnight. Mud tugged at his boots. Wet leaves and diesel scented the air. 2 more stood by the ditch and old pecan tree. None belonged there. He wiped water from the survey tag. His parcel number appeared above an unfamiliar company name. The farmhouse screen door slammed. "Dad?" Naomi Brooks hurried down the steps in a gray sweatshirt. At 24, she had her mother's quick walk and read bad news twice. An envelope was pressed to her chest. "You need to see this." Elijah pulled the nearest stake free. "Bank?" She nodded. Inside, the radiator ticked. Naomi set the notice beside his coffee. It said the access dispute had changed the farm's risk classification. Unless the county cleared the easement challenge within 10 business days, the lender could review non-essential secured structures. "The seed barn," Naomi said. "They won't call it that. They'll call it storage and price it like scrap." "Did you authorize any survey?" "No." "Then call the sheriff. We document first." That answer used to mean someone was about to have a bad audit. That was another life. And this is our land. Elijah carried the notice into the back room, where glass jars filled the shelves. Corn and beans rested beneath handwritten labels. Blue speckled beans on the center table bore his late wife's note. "March lot. Keep dry." Condensation had loosened one corner. Elijah pressed it flat, but the damp paper clung to his thumb. Naomi stood in the doorway. "If they take this building, I can move everything to campus." "No. It would be temporary. Your mother built it here. She built it to survive, not to become a monument." Her chin stayed high. Her eyes shone. Elijah turned the jar inward. "Get your camera." Naomi photographed each marker while Elijah logged coordinates. Fresh tire tracks cut through the southern rye to a 4th stake by the irrigation valve. A laminated permit hung from it. Naomi read, "Preliminary Public Safety Corridor Assessment. There is no public corridor here. It has the police department seal." Elijah removed the permit without tearing it. The plastic smelled sharp. "Now do we call?" He studied the signature line. The approving name was printed, not signed. "County records first." By 8:15, Naomi had been transferred 4 times. One clerk called the survey routine. Another said no permit existed. A third lowered her voice and told them not to call again until after Monday's land meeting. Naomi gripped the receiver. "The meeting was Wednesday." The line went dead. Elijah removed every stake except the one by the irrigation valve. He wrapped the permit in wax paper and locked both beneath his old audit files. Back in the kitchen, Naomi had turned the bank notice face down. "What are you thinking?" "That someone expects us to react before we understand the pattern." "And if the pattern is the point?" Elijah looked at the lone orange stake against the dark field. "Then we leave one exactly where they put it." At 11:18 a.m., a cream envelope arrived in the farm mailbox without a postmark. Naomi carried it inside between 2 fingers. No stamp, no return address. Elijah slit the flap with a butter knife. Heavy paper slid onto the table, carrying the faint smell of expensive cologne. "You are cordially invited," Naomi read, "to the Safe Harvest Foundation's annual dinner tomorrow evening." She looked up. That foundation again. Elijah unfolded the sponsor list beneath Charlotte Vale's printed signature. One name stopped him: Willow Land Renewal Trust. Naomi saw his thumb press into the paper. That's the company on the survey tag. The trust behind it. Same difference if they're taking our field. It matters who benefits. The refrigerator clicked off. Rain tapped the window while the invitation rasped beneath Elijah's palm. "You think the chief is connected? I think someone expected those markers to scare us into calling the wrong office. And this invitation? A chance to see who sits together when they think no one is counting." She gave a short laugh. "You used to count for a living. That was 12 years ago. You still alphabetize receipts. Receipts don't lie when people do." By noon, Elijah had opened a locked metal case beneath the stairs. Inside lay old audit notebooks and a ledger wrapped in brown paper. He placed the invitation beside a transfer from 2019. Naomi leaned over him. "What am I looking at?" "A farm outside Millstone. Police cited the owner for unsafe access. 2 months later, this trust bought it for 40% below assessment. One farm isn't a pattern. No." He opened another folder, then another. 7 names, 7 inspections, 7 sales. Naomi stopped turning pages. "Why didn't you take this in before?" "Incomplete evidence tells powerful people what to destroy." "And now?" "Now they marked our land." At 2:06 p.m., Elijah called the number embossed beneath Charlotte's name. "Safe Harvest Foundation, Charlotte Vale speaking." "Elijah Brooks." The keyboard stopped. "Mr. Brooks, I'm glad the invitation reached you." "Why was I invited?" "Your family has history in the county." "So do graveyards." Her tone cooled. "Tomorrow is about cooperation. My father will present a plan that could protect struggling farmers." "From whom?" "From instability." "Will Willow Land Renewal Trust be represented?" "Our sponsors value privacy. Landowners value notice." "Come to dinner, Mr. Brooks. Ask your questions in the proper room." The line ended. Naomi stood by the sink. That sounded like a warning. It sounded rehearsed. "You're still going?" Elijah placed the ledger inside a plain envelope, then added copies of the survey permit, 7 sales, and bank notice. The originals stayed locked away. "I can send this to the state tonight," Naomi said. "No dinner, no audience." He pressed the flap closed. The paper bent beneath his calloused thumb and held the crease. "Raymond Vale gets one chance to answer without a crowd." "And if he doesn't?" Elijah wrote a phone number across the envelope's inner fold, hidden beneath the seal. Then the crowd becomes evidence. Outside, the lone orange stake leaned in the wind, bright against the wet field. At 6:37 p.m., Elijah carried a crate of pears through the side entrance of Delaney House because the man at the front desk never asked his name. "Deliveries use the kitchen," he said. "I'm here for dinner." The man glanced at Elijah's green work jacket. "Vendor check-in is through there." Cold air rolled from the service corridor. Carts squealed over tile, and rosemary, bleach, and bread filled the hall. Elijah touched the envelope inside his jacket. "My invitation says 7. Then someone printed the wrong entrance. "Milton." Charlotte Vale approached in a silver dress, her smile fixed. "This is Mr. Brooks. He is a guest." Milton Reed, 42, straightened his tie. "I misunderstood." "You assumed," Elijah said. Charlotte's smile tightened. "Find him a seat." Milton took the crate. "This way." They crossed the ballroom beneath amber chandeliers. Beside the swinging service door, a small table sat beneath an air vent. Milton pulled out the last chair. My name was listed with the agricultural sponsors. The central tables are for people positioned to help the county. Elijah looked toward Charlotte beneath the foundation banner. Their eyes met. She turned away. He sat. Each time the kitchen door opened, a cold draft lifted his napkin. Elijah placed the envelope beneath his plate. A server set down soup. "Sorry about the door, sir. What's your name?" "Luis." "Thank you, Luis." Laughter rose as Chief Raymond Vale entered. He moved between tables, remembering spouses and donations. When he reached Elijah, he stopped outside the draft. "Mr. Brooks, Charlotte said you might come." "She invited me." Raymond's gaze fell to the envelope. "I hope tonight remains constructive." "That depends on what you present." "Farmers have enough worry without rumors." "Survey stakes aren't rumors." A spoon paused at the next table. Raymond lowered his voice. "This isn't the setting." "You chose the setting." Charlotte appeared beside him. "Dad, the chairman is waiting." Then she faced Elijah. "We adjusted the seating. Our principal donors required space. My family donated here for 11 years. Produce is generous. Influence is different." Rose Delaney heard her. At 54, Rose wore silver curls above a black jacket. She opened the donor ledger and traced one line. "Mr. Brooks, your family funded the winter pantry in 2021. Charlotte answered first. That was separate. Rose looked from Elijah's chair to the empty place beside the county treasurer. "I see." She did not move him. Milton returned with the crate. "These weren't registered." "They were requested yesterday," Elijah said. "By whom?" "Charlotte." Milton looked toward the stage. Charlotte was climbing the steps. "I can leave them in the kitchen." "Put them beside my chair." The crate landed with a wooden knock. One pair rolled beneath a retired judge's table. She picked it up and set it beside her plate. The lights dimmed. A projector warmed with an electrical hum. Raymond stood behind the lectern. "Tonight, we secure the future of Willow Bend agriculture." A county map appeared. Elijah's napkin lifted again. This time he pinned it beneath 2 fingers. 7 parcels glowed in yellow. The largest was his farm. The yellow parcels covered the river road like spilled paint. Raymond tapped the largest block with a laser pointer. "The safe agricultural corridor will reduce response times, improve drainage, and stabilize neglected properties." Elijah leaned forward. His farm was marked Parcel 14-B. The seed barn sat inside a red zone labeled Proposed Clearance. A woman nearby whispered, "That place isn't neglected." "Participation will be voluntary wherever possible," Raymond said. "Wherever possible?" Elijah asked. "Questions will follow." "My land is already on your map." Charlotte stepped to the stage edge. "Mr. Brooks, respect the program." Elijah raised the orange survey permit. "Then explain why a surveyor entered my property yesterday." The projector fan whirred. A server froze with a bottle above an empty glass. Raymond lowered the pointer. "Preliminary mapping is not entry. This carries the police department seal. That seal is used by several offices. Not with your authorization code." Raymond's smile narrowed. "Farmers sometimes misunderstand technical paperwork." Elijah unfolded a copy. "Code RV-17, issued Monday at 5:43 p.m. The county clerk says no permit exists." "Then speak to the clerk." "I did. The call ended when I mentioned Willowland Renewal Trust." Across the room, Evan Hart lowered his fork. The 34-year-old assistant secretary had blue ink on his cuff. "Chief, That trust is not in tonight's public packet. Charlotte answered. Private sponsors need not disclose internal holdings. This project requests county access rights, Evan said. We can discuss procedure Monday, Raymond replied. The land meeting was moved to tomorrow, Elijah said. Moved by whom? Evan asked. No one answered. Cold air pushed through the service door. Elijah's napkin lifted, exposing the sealed envelope. Raymond saw it and left the lectern. Mr. Brooks, you came with accusations. I came with records. Charlotte descended, her heels striking quick beats. My father has protected this county for 30 years. Then the records should protect him. You think that worn jacket makes this performance humble? It keeps out rain. Several guests looked away. Raymond gripped an empty chair. Give me the documents. Counsel will review them. With a receipt. This is dinner, not an evidence room. Then stop asking for evidence. Rose stepped closer. I can witness the transfer. Raymond's ring clicked against the chair. Once, twice. Charlotte noticed. Dad? He ignored her. What do you believe the trust has done? Elijah unfolded another map. 7 farms were marked with inspection dates and sale prices. 7 owners received safety citations. 7 sold below assessment. 1 trust bought every property. That proves nothing. No, the payment trail might. Evan stood. There are payments? Sit down, Raymond said. Evan did not. Elijah touched the glowing shape of his farm. Who authorized this corridor? Charlotte reached for the envelope. Enough. Elijah covered it with his hand. Move, she said. No. Her father spoke quietly. Charlotte, leave it. But she had already seized the corner, and the seal began to tear. The seal tore with a snap. Charlotte pulled back. The envelope stayed beneath Elijah's palm, one corner split open. Take your hand off it, she said. No. You brought stolen records into my event. They are copies of public filings. Raymond stepped between them. Charlotte, return to the stage. He is humiliating you. Your father is choosing what this becomes, Elijah said. At the nearest table, red wine quivered inside a crystal glass. The surface kept trembling after Charlotte lowered her hand. Rose moved closer. Mr. Brooks asked for a witness transfer. That is reasonable. This is not your concern, Raymond said. It became my concern when your daughter grabbed a guest's property. Charlotte's face tightened. He came dressed like a field hand to provoke us. I came from work. Several guests lowered their eyes. Milton stood by the service door with an empty tray. Evan Hart lifted his phone. I'm recording the condition of the envelope. Raymond turned. Put that away. County procedure requires preservation when an official requests documents. I requested nothing officially. You asked for the envelope twice. Yellow parcels from the projector crossed Raymond's jacket. Elijah's farm glowed over his chest. Charlotte saw the phones rising. Stop staring at us. No one answered. She reached again. Elijah slid the envelope behind his plate. Do not touch me or my property. Or what? I will document it. Her hand struck his face. The sound was small. Smaller than the fork dropped near the window. Yet chairs shifted back at once. His head turned slightly. Heat spread beneath his cheekbone. He steadied the pear crate. Charlotte stared at her palm. Dad, she whispered. Raymond looked at Elijah. You need to leave. Rose stepped forward. She struck him. He threatened this family. With records? Evan asked. Raymond pointed toward the doors. This gathering is concluded. Low voices crossed the room. Phones rose higher. Someone said, Call the police. Another guest answered, He is the police. Elijah straightened his jacket. A pear rolled from the crate and stopped beside Charlotte's shoe. He picked up the envelope. Rose, do your cameras record continuously? Yes. Save the last 20 minutes. Raymond's chair scraped the floor. You do not give orders here. It is my restaurant, Rose said. She turned a brass key on the security panel. A red indicator blinked. The kitchen door opened, releasing cold air and rosemary. Charlotte found her voice. He assaulted my father's reputation. Elijah touched his cheek once. That is not an offense. It is when it is false. Then the documents will clear him. Raymond's ring clicked against the chair. Once. Twice. What is inside? He asked. You know what should be. That is not an answer. It is the last private one. Evan moved beside Rose. The video is copying. Raymond took out his phone. Send a unit to Delaney House, quietly. Guests heard him. Elijah unlocked his phone. His late wife's photograph appeared before the contacts opened. Charlotte read the first name. Who is Dana Mercer? Elijah pressed call. The line rang once. Raymond's hand began to shake before anyone answered. Brooks? Dana Mercer's voice came through clear and awake. Elijah kept his eyes on Raymond. The harvest has started early. End that call. Elijah did not. Dana answered. Are you safe? I'm at Delaney House. There are witnesses. Do not discuss the file. I'm activating the hold. Raymond raised his phone. Unit 12, expedite. Rose stood beside the security console. No one touches this system. What hold? You'll hear soon enough. Blue light crossed the windows 8 minutes later, washing the white tablecloths in flashes. The room smelled of cooling meat and spilled wine. 2 officers entered, while a third stayed by the door. Officer Matt Keller, 27, narrow-faced and careful, approached with a notebook open. Chief? Raymond pointed at Elijah. Disruptive guest. Refused to leave. Possible theft of confidential records. Rose said, He was invited. Charlotte added, He threatened us. With what words? Keller asked. She glanced at her father. Secure the envelope first, Raymond said. Keller faced Elijah. Sir, may I see it? You may witness it. You may not open it without a lawful order. That's not how this works, Raymond said. It is tonight, Rose replied. Keller looked at the red security light and the phones held chest high. Was anyone physically harmed? Charlotte touched her palm. He provoked me. Evan said. She struck him. The gray-haired attorney raised her phone. I recorded it. Stop editorializing, Raymond said. Keller's pencil hovered. Chief, I need the complainant's statement. You have mine. You weren't struck. The chief turned slowly. Keller lowered his eyes. A second officer stepped forward. Hands where I can see them. Elijah set the envelope down and placed both hands beside it. The torn corner faced upward. Rose said, Record its condition. Keller tore an evidence label from his pad. I'm placing this in temporary custody pending review. Write that it was taken over my objection. Enough, Raymond said. Keller wrote anyway. The clear bag crackled as the envelope slid inside. Elijah watched the split seal disappear beneath plastic. Charlotte watched her father. What happens now? She asked. A formal interview. With whom? Raymond did not answer. One pair rolled beneath a chair, and no one moved. Elijah faced Rose. Keep the footage off-site. I sent a copy to my accountant. Raymond's head snapped toward her. Outside, the October air stung Elijah's cheek. The officers guided him toward the rear cruiser without touching him. Charlotte remained beneath the yellow map. At the car, Keller opened the rear door. Am I under arrest? You're being transported for questioning. That wasn't my question. Keller lowered his voice. No, sir. Then I'm riding in front. The older officer gave a short laugh. Not tonight. Elijah looked at Keller. The young man looked away first. As the door closed, the evidence bag rested on the front seat. Raymond leaned through the opposite window. Log it after we get back. Keller's hand tightened around his pen. From the restaurant steps, Charlotte saw her father's mouth form the words. For the first time that evening, she stopped looking at Elijah as the danger. The metal chair was cold through Elijah's trousers. At 11:43 p.m., a fluorescent tube buzzed above the table. Keller placed a 2-page statement before him. Read it carefully. Elijah did not touch the pen. Who wrote it? Administrative intake. It says I caused a disturbance. It says there was a disagreement. It says I consented to leave. Keller shifted. Signing gets you home faster. My daughter's hearing is at 8. I know. Elijah looked up. How? The chief mentioned it. The door opened. Raymond entered without his jacket and set Elijah's phone face down. You can end this tonight, he said. Sign. Admit dinner became personal, and we release the documents after review. Which review? Internal. Conducted by whom? Raymond sat opposite him. Do not make your daughter pay for your pride. Cold air moved across Elijah's damp collar. At 7:58 the next morning, Naomi stood alone in the county annex. Wet coats and copier toner scented the room. 3 commissioners sat beneath a clock running 2 minutes fast. Is Mr. Brooks joining us? The chairwoman asked. He was detained for questioning. A county attorney leaned toward his microphone. Then we proceed on the available record. The record includes an unauthorized survey, Naomi said. We have no verified permit. That is exactly the problem. The access request is temporary. It crosses our seed barn. Your father could have clarified this. Naomi glanced at the empty chair. He tried. Back at the station, Elijah's phone lit with her 7th missed call. Raymond noticed. She will manage. You moved the hearing. I do not schedule land matters. Your authorization code was on the permit. That code is used broadly. Then welcome an independent review. Raymond's mouth flattened. Sign. Elijah reached for the pen. Keller's eyes flicked toward him. Sir? Outside, Raymond said. Keller left, but the door did not latch. Hallway light cut a thin line beneath it. Charlotte's strike had become incidental contact. He set the pen on the signature line. At 8:21, the commission approved temporary access by 2 votes to 1. Naomi's fingers slipped on the brass zipper of her coat. She tried twice before it closed. When does entry begin? She asked. Immediately upon notice. Define immediately. The attorney stacked his papers. Today. Naomi called her father again. The phone vibrated against the interview table. Raymond pushed it away. Finish. Elijah reached into his jacket pocket and found a small paper packet softened at the folds. March lot. Keep dry. His wife's handwriting had faded at the edges. A seed clicked inside. Raymond leaned back. What is that? The reason I won't sign. This is not about grief. No, it is about what men call useless when they want it cheap. He folded the statement and slid it across the table. Raymond stood. You are choosing a difficult road. It was difficult before I arrived. The door opened wider. Keller stood in the hall, holding the clear evidence bag. Chief, the property log has no entry for this envelope. Raymond turned. Keller raised the bag. And someone already tried to open it. Keller held the evidence bag beneath the fluorescent light. The envelope's torn corner had widened. A blade mark ran beneath the seal. Raymond stepped forward. "Put that down. I have to document it. You have to follow orders. The log has no intake time, locker number, or officer signature." Elijah remained seated. Who had it? No one officially. The ventilation fan rattled. Beyond the wall, a printer began spitting pages. Raymond reached for the bag. Keller moved it behind his back. "Officer?" "Chief." The word changed the room. Elijah turned his phone face up. Naomi's name filled the screen again. "May I answer?" Raymond said, "No." Keller said, "He is not under arrest." The phone stopped vibrating. Elijah touched the faded seed packet. "Then return my property and let me call my daughter." Raymond's voice dropped. "One damaged envelope proves nothing." "No, your reaction does." At 8:34, Keller escorted Elijah into the records office. Dust warmed beneath the copier, and burnt coffee sat in a glass pot. A clerk in reading glasses watched them enter. "I need the property ledger," Keller said. "You need approval. My supervisor is named in the discrepancy." Her eyes shifted toward Raymond. Elijah spoke quietly. "Print the access history before anyone edits it." The clerk swallowed. "I didn't hear that." "Marcy, please." She waited, then turned the monitor. The log showed no locker assignment. At 12:17 a.m., Raymond's badge code opened the evidence room. 6 minutes later, it accessed the land terminal. Keller read the times twice. Raymond entered. "Step away from that screen." Marcy's hand slipped from the mouse. "Print it," Keller said. "Do not," Raymond snapped. One page slid out. Keller took it first. "This goes in my report." "You won't have a report after today." Keller folded the sheet into his vest. "Then someone else will." Elijah's phone rang. Dinah Mercer's name appeared. Keller handed it over. Raymond blocked the doorway. "No calls leave this office." Dana answered. "Brooks, are you secure?" For the moment. The archive received the packet at 12:06. State Counsel issued a preservation notice. Do not describe the contents. Raymond's face went still. Did the county receive it? 12 recipients. The printer behind Marcy started again. Pages emerged. Land searches, badge entries, deleted request alerts. Dana said, "Use Harvest Confirmed if records are being altered." Elijah looked at Keller's folded page, then at the broken seal. "Harvest Confirmed." The line went quiet for half a breath. "Understood. External review is active." Raymond stepped aside. Elijah called Naomi while Keller photographed the pages. She answered at once. "Dad? I'm here." They approved access. "I know." Her breath caught. "They can enter today. Go to the seed barn. Lock nothing. Touch nothing. Photograph everyone who arrives." "You're not coming?" "I am." Keller's desk phone rang. He listened, then covered the receiver. "Chief, state investigators are at the front entrance." Raymond stared at the screen. A final alert flashed red. Remote preservation lock. Changes disabled. For the first time since dinner, he had nowhere left to erase anything. The printer beside Marcy fed out pages faster than she could catch them. Keller pulled the first sheet free. Parcel searches. Dana's voice remained on Elijah's phone. Photograph every page before anyone moves it. Raymond stood in the doorway as red warnings pulsed across the monitor. "This station is under my command." A woman in a navy coat appeared behind him. "Not for this review." Dana Mercer entered with 2 investigators. At 46, she wore silver-framed glasses. Rain shone on her shoulders. "Chief Vale, step away from the terminal. You have no cause. We have a preservation order, a damaged seal, and a midnight badge entry. Keller raised the folded sheet. "And this." Dana took it. "Make 2 copies." The copier smelled hot and metallic. Each page landed with a dry slap. At 9:12, they moved to county records. Evan Hart arrived with closed session packets beneath his coat. "I should have copied these months ago." "You're copying them now," Elijah replied. Evan spread parcel maps across a long table. Dana matched police visits to trust purchases while Rose's video uploaded. On the monitor, Charlotte's hand flashed once, followed by Raymond's order to seize the envelope. Donna paused it. "We need the land pattern, not only the dinner." Evan pointed to 7 yellow parcels. These were discussed in executive session. On what grounds? Public safety acquisition. Who requested it? He touched Raymond's signature. The chief. A printer in the corner started again. It produced a county map layered with police calls, inspection dates, and sales. Red circles appeared one by one over the same 7 farms. No one spoke. The fan hummed. Wet wool, old paper, and burnt toner filled the room. Naomi called at 9:26. "They're at the south gate," she said. Wind rushed over the line. 2 survey trucks. "Keep filming," Elijah said. "One man says the access vote authorizes entry." Dana held out her hand. "Speaker, this is Deputy Director Mercer. No one enters Parcel 14B until the authorization chain is cleared." A man answered. "We have county approval. You have a contested order tied to an active inquiry. Leave the boundary." After a pause, an engine started. Naomi whispered, "They're backing out." Elijah shut his eyes for one breath. "Photograph the tire tracks." At 10:03, Charlotte arrived carrying a leather-bound payment journal. Raymond moved toward her. "Go home." She stopped 6 feet away. "Did you use my signature?" "Not here." "That means yes." She placed the journal beside the map. Several transfers to Willowland Renewal Trust carried her digital approval while she had been overseas. "I never signed these." "You benefited from the foundation," Raymond said. "I asked whether you used my signature." Donna opened the journal. "Who had access?" "My father's assistant, and my father." Raymond laughed once. "She is upset. This proves nothing." Elijah turned the fresh map toward him. 7 red circles covered 7 sold farms. An 8th, still hollow, surrounded Brooks Farm. Donna touched it with one finger. "It proves the pattern was not finished." Another printer started in the hall, feeding out the names of those who had approved the next parcel. The final page slid from the printer and landed face up. Evan Hart read the names first. 3 council aides, the assessor, and Raymond Vale. Dana Mercer took the sheet. "No one leaves with a copy unless I sign the release." Raymond folded his arms. "You are treating routine planning like a conspiracy." Elijah rested one hand on the map. "Then routine records should explain it." By 11:20, the chamber was full. Rain tapped the windows, damp coats steamed beneath the vents, and the projector cast a pale block across the wall. Margaret Hall, 63, chaired the session with a silver braid. "Chief Vale," she said, "you requested this hearing." "I requested a correction to reckless allegations." Dana placed the damaged evidence bag before her. "The allegations now have a preservation order." Raymond faced the public seats. "Mr. Brooks is a distressed landowner facing foreclosure. He has confused hardship with public policy." Naomi sat in front, dried mud on her boots, the seed packet inside her fist. Margaret looked at Elijah. "Your response?" "My mortgage is current." "Your bank notice says otherwise," Raymond said. "It says the county dispute changed our risk classification." "Same result." Different cause. Charlotte sat alone near the aisle, the leather journal on her knees. Dana clicked the projector. 7 sales appeared beside police visits and prices. Each farm received a safety citation, she said. Within 90 days, each sold below assessment to Willow Land Renewal Trust. Raymond raised a hand. Correlation. Evan stood. Then explain the closed session requests. You are a clerk. Assistant secretary. You removed county documents. I preserved them after you ordered the access log deleted. Margaret removed her glasses. Did you issue that order? No. Keller rose beside the door. I heard it over internal radio. You misunderstood. I saved the recording. Dana nodded to the technician. Raymond's voice filled the chamber. Make the land log disappear before morning. Charlotte lowered her head. Raymond gripped the lectern. Context matters. It usually does, Elijah said. Dana placed the duplicate envelope before him. Mr. Brooks, identify your role in assembling these records. Elijah broke the seal. The paper rasped across the microphone. For 12 years, I supervised financial audits for the State Office of Public Integrity. Raymond's face changed. I left when my wife became ill. I returned to farming, but I kept the methods. He placed a ledger beneath the projector camera. Transfers formed a chain from county vendors to the foundation, then to the trust. Margaret asked, Beneficial owner? Elijah turned the final filing. Raymond Vale. The name appeared 6 feet high on the wall. No one applauded. Rain ticked against the glass. The projector fan hummed. Raymond looked toward Charlotte. She did not stand. Margaret aligned the papers. Chief Vale, surrender your access credentials pending review. He reached for his badge clip and missed it once. Elijah closed the ledger. Dana opened the next tab. We are not finished. The trust has one more scheduled acquisition. On the screen, Parcel 14B began flashing red. Charlotte rose before Margaret Hall could call a recess. I need to speak. Ooh. Raymond turned from the flashing parcel map. Sit down. She stepped into the aisle with the leather journal against her ribs. The chamber smelled of wet wool and burnt coffee. Camera shutters clicked. Margaret lifted one hand. Ms. Vale, are you giving a formal statement? Yes. Then it becomes part of the record. I understand. Raymond moved toward her. You're upset. Let counsel handle this. Charlotte stopped at the witness table. Did you use my signature? This is not the place. You used it on foundation transfers. You approved broad authority. I approved event expenses. Dana Mercer opened the journal. These transfers total $840,000. Raymond faced the counsel. Charlotte managed the foundation. If irregularities occurred, she had oversight. A murmur crossed the room. Charlotte gripped the clerk's pen. You told me the trust bought abandoned land. It did. Brooks Farm is not abandoned. Do not make this theater. It became theater when you let me defend you. Dana asked, who could access your digital signature? My office manager, my father's assistant, and my father. Did he know the password? Yes. Charlotte pulled a printout from the journal. This is the server history. The approvals came from the police chief's office terminal. Keller carried it to Dana. Raymond's chair struck the floor. You stole internal records. They had my name on them. You are destroying your future. Charlotte looked at him. You already used it. Margaret ordered the page marked as evidence. A blue stamp struck the paper. Charlotte bent over the statement. Rain traced lines down the windows while her pen scratched across the form. When she signed, ink smeared across her thumb. She stared at the stain. Raymond softened his voice. Charlie, come home. We can explain this privately. She closed the pen. You had 12 years. Dana asked, will you submit to a recorded interview without your father present? Yes. Raymond turned toward Elijah. You brought my daughter into this. Elijah stood beside Naomi. You put her name on the money. You could have warned her. I tried to warn both of you. The chamber doors opened for recess. Chairs scraped and reporters crowded the corridor. Elijah waited by the wall while Naomi gathered the seed packet and maps. Charlotte approached alone. She had replaced her silver dinner dress with a plain black coat buttoned unevenly. Mr. Brooks. He faced her. I am sorry. She rubbed the ink stain with a tissue. It spread deeper into the lines of her thumb. I should never have touched you, she said. I should have checked the records. Elijah folded the duplicate ledger. Regret matters after the truth is given under oath. Her hand stopped. Will that ever be enough? It will be a beginning. Dana called her back. Charlotte took 2 steps, then placed the stained tissue beside her signed statement instead of hiding it. Across the chamber, an investigator sealed Raymond's office access card inside a clear bag. He watched his daughter walk toward the interview room without looking back. The investigator sealed Raymond's office card, then placed his badge beside it. Margaret Hall remained standing. Chief Vale, you are suspended immediately. Raymond stared at the clear bags. On whose authority? The council's. You trusted me for 28 years. That is why this is difficult. No, Dana Mercer said. Trust delayed scrutiny. Rain struck the windows. Reporters crowded the rear doors. Iris Cole entered with 2 assistants and gray document boxes. The special prosecutor wore her dark hair in a severe knot. All acquisitions tied to Willowland Renewal Trust are frozen. So are the foundation accounts and county contracts. Raymond looked toward Charlotte. Tell them the transfers were administrative. They were not mine. Iris set down a notice. Respond through counsel. What am I accused of? Obstruction, misuse of public systems, and undisclosed financial interest. A counsel aide slid his phone toward her. I was told to delay notices. I kept the messages. Raymond's mouth tightened. Coward? Elijah folded the parcel map. He was quiet while silence benefited him. At 2:10 p.m., Iris met Elijah and Naomi in a small conference room. The radiator clanged. Paper cups left dark rings. The county will offer emergency relief, Iris said. Legal fees, crop losses, reputational harm. Naomi asked, and the seed barn? The access order is suspended. Suspended is not canceled. No. Elijah pushed the draft settlement back. This requires confidentiality. It is standard. It protects the county first. You could secure your farm today. 7 farms were already lost. Those owners may file claims. They should not rebuild the same case one family at a time. Naomi touched his sleeve. Mud filled the stitching of her gloves. The lender called, she said. 48 hours before review. Iris turned the agreement around. Without this, I cannot promise speed. Elijah studied the unsigned line, then put the process in public record. At 4 o'clock, the council reconvened. Margaret read the orders. Raymond suspended. Trust deeds frozen. Outside review authorized. All parcel hearings stayed. Raymond stood. You think removing one man repairs this county? No, Elijah said. You wanted this. I wanted the records opened. My daughter lost everything today. Charlotte answered from behind him. I lost the version you gave me. He turned, but she had already sat beside the affected farmers. Margaret held out her hand. Your badge. Raymond reached for it, missed the clasp once, and tried again. The metal landed with a flat click. No one moved. He looked at Elijah. "You could have settled quietly." Elijah placed the unsigned agreement beside the badge. "That is how it lasted 12 years. Outside, rainwater dripped from the courthouse awning while farmers gathered around Naomi's maps. An older woman traced the outline of lost land with one shaking finger. Iris joined Elijah on the steps. "You refused certainty." "I refused silence. What do you want instead?" He watched the woman fold the map against her chest. "A rule that leaves a trail no chief can erase." Iris opened her notebook. "Then write it carefully," she said. "Start with access logs," Elijah said. Iris Cole wrote beneath the courthouse awning while rain clicked against her notebook. "Every search?" "Every search involving private land. Who opened it? Why? And what followed?" Margaret Hall joined them with Dana and Naomi. "That could slow routine work," Margaret said. "So did 12 years of secrecy," Naomi replied. Elijah added, "Owners get notice within 24 hours. No officer, inspector, or council employee may hold an interest in a land company here," Dana said, "and complaints bypass the department named in them." A bus hissed at the curb. Rain ran along the folded map in Naomi's hands. "Write that first," Elijah said. 3 weeks later, the old records room had become a policy office. Dusty cabinets lined one wall, the radiator smelled of hot metal, and farmers filled folding chairs. Evan Hart stood by a projector, blue ink still staining his cuff. Margaret tapped the draft. Section 4 creates an independent complaint commission. 5 members, no current county employees. An older farmer raised his hand. "Who chooses them?" 2 by the council, 2 by community groups, 1 by retired judges. Elijah shook his head. "You expect elected officials to surrender control?" Margaret asked. "I expect the people being reviewed not to choose the reviewers." A murmur moved through the room. Charlotte sat in the last row with a box of foundation records at her feet. Iris crossed out the paragraph. 1 council appointment, 2 community seats, 1 legal aid seat, 1 trained resident chosen by lottery. The farmer nodded. "That leaves a trail." At noon, Naomi read the land access form aloud. "Employee, department, parcel number, legal purpose, supervising approval." Elijah turned it over. "Where does a challenged search go?" Evan pointed to a blank box. "Internal review." "No?" Elijah took a pencil and replaced the words. "Independent review." The graphite pressed into the paper. No one spoke. Charlotte leaned forward. "Would my father's first search have triggered that?" Dana answered, "If the owner disputed it, yes. And if the reviewer ignored it, then the reviewer's name would be visible too." Charlotte nodded. "Keep it." By late afternoon, the council voted in public. The package required access notices, conflict disclosures, an outside complaint board, free legal help for small landowners, and permanent preservation of searches. "All in favor?" Margaret asked. 5 hands rose. The projector fan spun down. Sunlight reached the front row. Afterward, Iris offered Elijah a commission seat. "No." Naomi turned. "You fought for this." "That is why I should not own it." "Then who keeps them honest?" "Everyone who can read the record." He asked that the first legal clinic be held at the seed barn after repairs. Rose volunteered meals. Evan offered training. Keller agreed to teach evidence preservation. Charlotte carried her box forward. "These belong with the public files." Elijah moved aside so she could set it down. Outside, Naomi showed him the final form. Beneath independent review, a tracking number had been added. Elijah ran his thumb over the raised ink. For the first time, the system had been designed to remember. 1 year later, the orange stake stood beside the rebuilt seed barn. Naomi had cleaned off the mud, but left the scratched permit tag attached. Beneath it, a brass plaque read, Brooks Community Seed and Water Center. Warm air carried pine, dry corn husks, and fresh paint. Children moved between glass jars while Naomi demonstrated the water capture system she had designed. Rain from the roof now flowed into buried tanks instead of across the east field. Elijah stood at the old central table, turning handwritten packets so their labels faced outward. March lot. Keep dry. His wife's faded note rested behind glass. Naomi touched his sleeve. You could say something. I signed the welcome form. That is not a speech. It is enough. Rose arrived with biscuits. Evan Hart carried the first annual public access report. Every search of private land now appeared by parcel number, employee, purpose, and independent reviewer. 3 disputed searches had already been stopped before crews arrived. Keller came last, wearing a county identification card instead of a patrol uniform. He now trained employees to preserve evidence and managed the Records Protection Office. He stopped beside the stake. I still hear that evidence bag when I see this. Elijah straightened the tag. Then you remember why the log matters. Across town, Iris Cole filed her final public report. Raymond Vale had resigned before dismissal, surrendered his interest in the land trust, and was barred from county employment while restitution claims continued. 4 officials were suspended or demoted. 2 resigned. No frozen property could be transferred without an independent hearing. Charlotte no longer ran the Safe Harvest Foundation. Its board dissolved it and placed the remaining funds into the farmers' legal aid program. She completed ethics training, testified in every hearing, and traced accounts bearing her name. Before noon, she entered the center carrying a cardboard box. Conversations softened. These are the last foundation files, she said. Some families never filed complaints. Elijah opened the box. Inside were citations, boundary photographs, and letters. On top lay the stained tissue Charlotte had left beside her signed statement. She did not apologize again. Where should I put them? He pointed beneath the public records cabinet. Not with the seeds. No, she said, but close enough that people see both. Together, they set the box down. That afternoon, Iris read the names of 7 former landowners at the center's first legal clinic. 2 families had regained title. 3 accepted revised settlements without confidentiality clauses. The remaining cases would stay in open hearings. Margaret took notes. Rose poured coffee. Evan showed an elderly farmer how to find his tracking number. No one was directed to a side entrance. Near sunset, Naomi locked the water controls and joined her father outside. Wind moved through the rye. The orange stake caught the last light. Do you wish you had made the call sooner? She asked. Elijah looked toward the seed barn windows. I wish no one had needed it. He pulled the stake from the ground and handed it to her. Keep it. Put it inside. Naomi placed it beneath the plaque, beside the first public report and the jar marked in her mother's handwriting. Outside, the field held its own line. Have you ever seen someone dismissed because of how they looked, where they worked, or how quietly they spoke? Share your experience in the comments, especially if one careful record, witness, or decision changed what happened next. Send this story to someone who believes dignity should never depend on status and that justice matters most when it changes the rules for everyone. Subscribe for more stories about accountability, quiet resilience, and people who refuse to trade truth for an easier ending. Your support helps these stories reach viewers who may need the reminder that speaking carefully, documenting what happened, and standing beside others can leave a trail no powerful person can erase.